Women of the World Poetry Slam is coming to Albuquerque this week, bringing with it more than 70 poets, all competing against one another for the champion title. Here with more on the slam and when you can check it out is Jasmine Cuffey. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. Let's start with what exactly is this event?
So it is the Women of the World Poetry Slam, the 8th annual, and it's a 4-day festival with preliminary competitions happening Thursday and Friday, and then our finals happening on Saturday at the Chemo. So 72 women will be competing against each other.
So it starts with 72,
Yes.
and does it slowly dwindle down?
It slowly dwindles down. The top 12 will be at the Chemo on Saturday, March 21st.
Okay, is it single elimination?
It is single elimination. Everybody gets to compete both nights.
Okay.
And then from their standings, that's what determines if they've made the top 12.
Okay,
Yes.
and who judges?
5 random people from the audience.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so any of the audience members that come out may have an opportunity to be a judge.
That's an interesting twist because
Yes.
sometimes you typically have, the judges where maybe they've done it before. This gives the audience really a hand in participating in the event.
Yes, definitely. And we say if you've never been to a poetry slam before, you're the best judge.
That's true.
Yes.
Because you're like, you're totally green,
totally
and you're
green,
thinking, I just want to know what appeals to me or what appeals in general,
Yes,
to the audience.
correct.
So let's talk about the poetry slam.
Okay.
What exactly, the women get up there, do they have a poetry or a poem rather, in mind of what they're going to be doing?
They do usually have a poem in mind. They usually have written and rehearsed sort of their set of poems that they work on. So it's something that's memorized, something that's rehearsed, choreographed. Some people, the brave people, will like say, I'm just going to go off the top of my head and like freestyle, but those are like the really brave, talented people.
Like, good luck.
So I usually, try and practice as much, even though I'm not competing this year. But,
We're not talking about like a poem like Hickory Dickory Dock, right?
No.
You guys go all out.
We go all out, and we say it's not your grandma's poetry, right? It's and the topics range from anywhere to identity to, of course, love, right? But also sort of calls to action and anthems.
And anybody could go and attend and watch?
And anybody can come and attend and watch, yes.
Okay, that's
Yes,
great.
it's wonderful.
Do you think this opens the world for other people to be involved more in poetry and maybe give them an insight as to what poetry really is?
Definitely. And we say Poetry Slam is sort of that tool to get people interested who, either wrote off poetry in high school or, it's not their thing, or they have some idea of what it is. And we say it's going to totally kind of change your mind on what you think poetry is and could be.
Absolutely. Sometimes in school it's very structured.
Yes.
Very structured poetry. And it's not at all like this, right? Now, you said you're not participating this year, but you have in the past.
I have in the past. In 2013, I represented Albuquerque in Minneapolis, Minnesota for the Women of the World Poetry Slam there. Yeah, and that was sort of where I was like, I hadn't competed in a few years. I went back by myself and sort of kind of took it all in and was like, we can totally do this in Albuquerque. We hosted the National Poetry Slam in 2005 and won that. And so it's been about 10 years since we've done something, and I was like, it's time to bring it back home.
Absolutely. Give us a piece of what you've done before.
Like a poem?
Yeah.
Oh, for right here?
Yeah, go for it. We're ready.
Okay. Squandering creative moments is like laughing in the face of the moon while she is whispering her secrets. Arrogant as screaming back at her, believing you shine brighter, know the intimacy of gravity, and understand the crushing weight of being so luminous. Please, do not write about how you cannot write. It is a waste of time and energy and will only dig your hole deeper and faster than you have to take your next gasp. Instead, write a laundry list of what keeps you up at night. The creaking walls breathing like all our nightmares. The sighing limbs of an old house carrying the weight of your ghosts. Write the silhouettes of light waltzing through your drawn curtains. The forgiving support of your worn floor. Do not write yourself into the corner, into the box, into the dark. Do not fool yourself into thinking you are not worth it, that you are alone, that you are not 1,000 strokes of genius away from finding God. When you think of it, it's not that much. Write Write the freckles on lover's neck, the way they point directly to the scar above his right eye. Write your collarbone. Let it know where you think it's your sexiest feature. Write mama's frown lines, her furrowed brow and aching back. Demand they release her. Do not squander these moments. Do not speak only when spoken to. Be fatuous and vulnerable. Do not value originality over authenticity and squeeze. Squeeze the last ember of every beam of light till your hands burn with truth. Call it a poem when it's the only thing left to call it. Do not call it art unless you've cut off an ear and listen. Listen to those things louder than doubt. Sound check universe and yell. Reverberate all your pregnant potential. Become the moon.
Wow. That is very
It's awesome
deep.
to sit down and do it.
No, yeah, that is very deep.
Yeah,
a lot of
thank
these
you.
poems have a bigger message behind it.
Definitely, definitely. A lot of the poets I'll be coming, you know, they're our mothers, our sisters, our aunties, but they are also artists, activists, educators who, you know, either work in the community or use poetry as a tool to get across, you know, messages around social justice, around just sharing our stories.
Okay. When and where?
When and where? March 18th through the 21st. It kicks off tomorrow night at Stereo Bar at 8 p.m. We still have one slot open, and so people will get whoever competes in that slam gets the last remaining spot. And then they go on to compete Thursday and Friday at Stereo Bar, Flying Star, Trick Lock Performance Laboratory. And then March 21st is the finals at the Chemo. And then we also have day events, so writing workshops, open mics, and things like that. Main Library, El Chante,
Any
516
website
Arts.
where we can get details?
WOWPS, WOWPS 2015.com.
All right. Thanks so
Yes.
much for joining us.
Thank
this
you so
morning,
much for
Jasmine.
having me.
Great poem.
Thank you.
You bet. We'll be right back. Stay back.